Last year, we did a European Christmas markets tour of Austria, Germany, and Switzerland. If you're planning on doing a Christmas markets tour, you can go with a land company or a river cruise. We chose to go with Trafalgar, and this video is going to show you what we did and saw and kind of the process with Trafalgar on all of the different parts of the tour. Now, I have separate videos that show each hotel in detail and a walkthrough of the various Christmas markets, so if you want to have more detailed information, be sure to check out those videos as well. I will link those videos in the description below. We met up with the tour travelers on that first night in Vienna. We stayed at the Imperial Riding School Hotel Autograph Collection. This is a lovely hotel. Our tour director gave out a seating chart for the evening and explained that we rotate by 2 seats per day, with the driver's side rotating forward and the tour director's side rotating backward, so that at some point everyone gets a front row seat. We also had a couple of empty rows in the back, and those were fair game for anyone who wanted to sit there. On our way to dinner, we got our first look at Schönbrunn Palace. Then we made it to Vindobona, where we enjoyed salad, bread, schnitzel, and for dessert, bread pudding. The next morning, we enjoyed breakfast at our hotel before our first included tour. Several members in our group took an optional tour of Schönbrunn Palace this morning, but we felt like we needed a little bit extra sleep. We were almost adjusted to the jet lag. We did get a close-up, though, of the exterior. They were also able to see some of the Christmas market booths on the grounds of the palace, too. We were dropped off across from Maria Theresa Square, and Gerwin, our travel director, let us know that we could easily walk to this market after the tour. I think we were all salivating just a little bit to get into a Vienna Christmas market, but that would come very soon. We met our local guide for a walk in downtown Vienna. She pointed out the things we were about to see. This is the Maria Theresienplatz that we saw across the street. Our plan is to go into the central plaza of the Hofburg Imperial Palace and come out the other side before walking around downtown. We walked through this archway at the entrance and entered an incredible palace complex. Our guide explained the purposes for some of the buildings, the sculptures, and the history. And while our tour did not go inside the palace itself, that could be a possible option for people to explore during their free time later. We walked through a second archway which led to an unexpected architectural marvel. This place is gorgeous. And then we exited to the other side. We saw horse and carriage rides, which could be another idea of something to do during free time. The exit we took brought us to Michael's Square. Definitely a photo op moment. Lots of people taking pictures right and left of the beauty of the architecture and taking selfies to prove they were there. Then we began our walk to downtown Vienna. You can see where we came from, the beautiful building housing the Louis Vuitton store, and a lot of other upscale shopping opportunities on this pedestrian street. There are Christmas booths in the center of the street and lights strung overhead, which I can imagine would be especially gorgeous at night. We stop along our leisurely walk to admire some of the monuments, and our guide points out other buildings of note, like this beautiful church. I'm glad our guide is walking slowly enough that we can take photos and videos without feeling like we have to run to keep up. Our guided tour stops here at one of the Swarovski stores. Swarovski offers free public restrooms in the basement of their store. After the included tour, Gerwin gives us some options. We can hang out here in this downtown area, possibly eat lunch at some of the local restaurants, or we can follow him to the large Vienna Christmas market, and that's the choice I'm going to take. The Rothesplatz is the location for the large Christkindlmarkt here in Vienna. Christkindlmarkt means Christ Child Market, one of the first terms I learned during our Christmas market tour. Gerwin turns us loose here in this market with a reminder of how to get our bearings and how to walk back to the meeting place when we're done. He also offers to give us a WhatsApp message with directions to a closer meeting place where the bus could pick us up later if we preferred. What a beautiful Christmas market! It had a large variety of booths with sale items, plenty of hot drink stands, lovely decorations. This place is so large it even has an ice skating area that I never even saw. You'll really want to take a look at my walkthrough video of the whole market. We chose to go to the alternate meetup location at this pharmacy, the Holy Ghost Apothecary, but we were a little early, so we enjoyed a cup of tea at the Museum Cafe across the street. Tonight we selected the optional experience of dinner and a Viennese concert. We pre-ordered from the menu last night and could select from 2 starters, 2 soups, 3 main courses, and 2 desserts. And we had a separate area set up just for our group. Appetizers. I had the catfish salad with orange fennel, and my husband chose the marinated beef slices with pumpkin seed oil and cherry tomatoes. For soup, I had the butternut squash soup, and he chose the beef soup with ricotta ravioli and vegetable strips. For the main course, I chose the pan-fried salmon fillet with pumpkin orange vegetables and basmati rice. He got the marinated pot roast with root vegetables, apple cubes, and a potato pancake. For dessert, I chose the Emperor's pancake with plum compote. Evidently, the Emperor must like his pancakes cut up in pieces. And my husband chose the chestnut mousse with cherry and ginger compote. Dinner was delicious and the venue is very special. We then went to the Viennese concert, and we were not allowed to take any pictures of the musicians or the singers, but here is a still shot of the actual venue before they came in. The next morning, Gerwin, our tour director, greeted us as we boarded the bus, but after a couple of hours, we stopped at a convenience market. No free public toilets here. Gerwin helped us to understand the system for paying €0.50 and getting a ticket to use the toilet. Maybe that €0.50 goes toward the cost of this fancy toilet paper. The ticket to use the toilet also serves as a voucher. If you purchase something in the market, that €0.50 is credited toward your purchase. And there's plenty to choose from. I go for the chocolate. This would be a good time to show you our motor coach. It looks brand new and our driver keeps it impeccably clean. It has 13 rows and seats 49 passengers, not including the driver and tour director. Shortly after that, he came through the bus handing out chocolates. These are not just any old chocolates, they are Mozart chocolates. So appropriate since our next stop is Salzburg, Austria, the home city of Mozart. Upon arrival to Salzburg, we met a local guide who took us through the Mirabell Palace grounds, and I managed to get a photo of the exact gate and statues where Julie Andrews and the kids sang the Do-Re-Mi song in The Sound of Music. The gardens are pretty even in the winter, but I would imagine spring and summer would be spectacular. Our guide told us some of the facts about the filming of The Sound of Music. She also talked about Mozart and his often overlooked talented sister. In the distance, we can see the fortress on the hill. Gerwin then showed us to where our meeting location would be and gave us free time to explore Salzburg, pointing out the location for public toilets across the bridge and Billa Market for the best prices for Mozart chocolates. This bridge is covered in locks. I wonder where the tradition started about locks on bridges. Salzburg is another city that's easy to stroll around and just take it all in. The little corridors are filled with people enjoying the beautiful day. We saw the birthplace of Mozart and various other places of interest. And the markets are bustling. Just a reminder, I have a whole video about the market here in Salzburg, so if you want to find out more about the market and get a little more in-depth look for that video. After our time in Salzburg, we loaded the bus again and made our way to Munich and our hotel for the next 2 nights. We stayed in the Leonardo Royal Hotel near the Olympic Park. This hotel provided a dinner buffet for our tour group. And then we chose to relax a little, not going back out after our full day. But tomorrow we will go to Munich. This morning I opted to take an optional experience to Dachau. Totally a 180-degree turn from anything Christmassy, of course, but we're here so close and of such historical significance that I would hate to miss it while we're here. The tour members who did not want to attend this tour had the option of sleeping in a little bit this morning, because the bus would come back and pick them up after the optional experience was over. I only plan to show you a little bit of this tour, since it's such a somber experience, so if you don't really want to see any of this part, just fast forward through, because you're going to enjoy what else we do in Munich. If you're coming on your own, they are open from 9 until 5, and admission to the memorial site is free. The entrance gate has the words which translated means work makes one free, or work liberates. We saw the memorial wall and the memorial sculpture, the barracks, the reconstructed interior, and this wide open space is where prisoners would have stood for roll call. We also saw the gas chamber, the fumigation room, and crematoriums. There were many executions here at the camp, but the gas chamber was actually never used here. Several churches have been constructed now on the edges of the property, and this is the monument to all the unknown prisoners. I left this tour with a much greater understanding of the historical significance and a much greater appreciation for people that have sacrificed their lives for the cause of freedom. We went back to the hotel to pick up the rest of our group after this tour and headed to downtown Munich. We walked through the city and reached the Marienplatz, which is the main square. Gerwin pointed out the fish fountain, which would be our meeting place after our free time, and escorted us to a viewing spot just in time for the chiming of the clock and to watch the glockenspiel. The glockenspiel lasts a long time, and it was really crowded here. We opted to find a restaurant and enjoy some lunch. I did stop to watch them make grilled cheese, and that looked mighty tempting, but we decided to seek out a warm indoor restaurant and happened upon Oxengrill. Not sure if that's how you pronounce it. Glad we got there when we did, because just a little later the line to get in was incredible. The servers wear traditional German dress, and we were seated in a small section near the kitchen and could enjoy watching the food prep, including the pork knuckle rotisserie. You heard me right, a rotisserie full of pork knuckles. I ordered the soup and a platter where I could build my own ham sandwich. My husband ordered the crispy farm duck with red cabbage and potato dumpling. 2 soft drinks, and the order came to €57.40. My friend ordered the pork knuckle. It must be an acquired taste. He said it was one and done for him. Before leaving the restaurant, I took advantage of the restrooms. The women's are Damen and the men's Herren. Always glad for pictures on restroom doors to know for sure which is which. After lunch and the meetup time, some of the group went on a tour with a guide to talk about the local traditions here in Germany and see some of the local landmarks. I really wanted to spend my time actually fully exploring the Christmas markets here in Munich. I have a separate video about all the markets going into detail, but it was great to spend some leisurely time walking around the markets and enjoying it with a friend. When we got back to our hotel this evening, Trafalgar had an optional experience you could book that was to dinner at a local beer hall, but we wanted to experience our own dinner at a local restaurant, maybe in more of a residential area, just to experience local life a little bit more. We chose to take an Uber to a local restaurant, Augustiner Spiegelwirt. I don't have to pronounce well to eat well, but I was very thankful for Google Translate as they did not offer any English menus. Our 2 schnitzels with fries, water, and Coke came to €50.80, and it took a long time for us to get an Uber to get back to our hotel. Hindsight, maybe it would have been better if we had just walked to one of the German restaurants near our hotel, but the experience was really fun. On Sunday, we packed up to leave Munich, and on our way out of town, we made a lovely surprise side trip that wasn't on our agenda. We stopped at this palace given by Ferdinand to his wife after the birth of their son. Since it is Sunday, the palace is closed, and there are not many visitors today, so it's the perfect opportunity for this little diversion. The grounds seem to attract a bunch of geese today, and I saw 2 swans enjoying the weather too. This palace is massive. To the right is the orangerium or greenhouse. To the far left used to be the stables, but those have been turned into residences now. Wouldn't it be fun to tell your friends that you live in a palace? We leave the palace and drive for a while through the German countryside, passing homes which have a beautiful view of the mountains to enjoy every day. Our next planned stop is at the town of Oberammergau. And as we get closer, the elevation gets higher and the snow gets deeper. This is a welcome stop, not only because the town is so beautiful, but because the large theater offers some public restrooms. Our bus parked, and we made our way to door F, where the restrooms are located, before enjoying some free time in the town. Being Sunday, many of the shops are not open. However, I did find a cute little cafe offering sandwiches and desserts and coffee, and another one with desserts, glühwein, and ice cream. Snow coverage was light, but a little slippery in some places, and I was glad to have on my waterproof tennis shoes with good textured soles. Walking up the street, I found this tourist information building. To the right of it was a cute little outdoor market just setting up for the afternoon, and inside the building was an indoor Christmas market. But just wandering around the streets with the gentle layer of snow was just spellbinding with the cute buildings, Christmas displays in the doorfronts, impressive churches, and gorgeous scenery. Every 10 years, the town puts on a passion play during the summer as a thank you to God for sparing the city during the Black Plague. Visitors come from around the world, and it is a major event. The next one is planned for 2030, so mark your calendars and make your reservations well in advance to come in the summer, but coming in the winter certainly has its own charm. We left Oberammergau and started making our way toward Innsbruck for our next stop. What a beautiful city! Our driver drops us off, and Gerwin leads us through some of the narrow business-lined passageways among buildings that are hundreds of years old, and we spill out into the middle of Old Town, and he points out the golden roof. This is the building where our group will meet up after free time today. This is such a great old town to explore. There are lots of whimsical decorations attached to some of the buildings. Here are two children fishing with a teapot. I'm not sure if that's a fairy tale. I'm pretty sure this one is the tortoise and the hare. Here's the big bad wolf, Pinocchio with his long nose, Rapunzel with her long hair. There's a goose girl, a leprechaun with a unicorn, and so many more. I spent the majority of my remaining time wandering through two of Innsbruck's Christmas markets. We arrived at the Tivoli Hotel in Innsbruck, which is a Hilton Garden Inn, as the sun is setting, and we have enough time to relax a little before dinner is served. When I go back outside to get a picture of the hotel, I see our driver washing the bus. Now that's dedication. Tonight's dinner was included at the hotel, and it was chicken and a mushroom cream sauce with mixed vegetables and rice. Then we were scheduled for a traditional Tyrolean evening with the promise of costumes, dancing, yodeling, and other music. And what fun that was! The singers and dancers and musicians put on a show like none I've ever seen. Tomorrow we will continue our tour, and this morning we boarded our bus to go to Lucerne with a side trip into the small country of Liechtenstein. This is the day our seat rotation system for the trip brings me to the front row. Great view, but rainy. So much for a perfectly clean view, but it's not going to dampen my day. With Trafalgar, you book a tour that includes city tours in every city and some optional tours along the way. It's a really good balance because you can pay for your full tour with Trafalgar and you don't have to decide for sure about those optional tours until you get on board the tour. So that's nice because you're not sure how you're going to feel with jet lag at the beginning of the trip, or how tired you might be toward the end of the trip, and what the weather's going to look like for some of these particular experiences. So it's nice to be able to wait just a little bit. Plus, it's fairly good for budgeting as well. You can pay for the bulk of your trip up front when you pay off your tour, and then you can plan to pay for these other things while you're on tour. This morning, Gerwin comes through the bus to collect payment on those optional experiences that we have enjoyed throughout the week. Payment is made by credit card. We pass through several tunnels and cross the border into Liechtenstein. Our motor coach parks in an area where we have access to free public toilets here in the capital city of Vaduz. There's ice skating available, and several people are out skating this morning. We see the castle on top of the hill. We will not make it closer to the castle during our brief stop here, though. Instead, we enjoy the sunshine and clear skies and go for a walk to see what we can see. They seem to have some interesting sculptures and displays. This horse looks like it has been in battle, and I don't really know what the artist was trying to convey here. There's a model of the castle, and from the end of this pedestrian area, I see a church and city hall. Walking back to where I started, I stopped to do a little shopping. Had success here in Liechtenstein. Was able to find my postcard. They sold me a stamp right at the souvenir shop and told me where the post box was. Then I find 3 more horses before making my way back to the bus. Our next and final stop on the tour is for Lucerne, Switzerland, where we will stay 2 days. We arrive in the city, and it is definitely larger than Vaduz, Liechtenstein. Up ahead is the train station. Our driver plans to drop us off in the city for a little bit of an orientation before we go to check into our hotel. Gerwin leads us to the Lion Monument. The inscription says that it is in praise of the loyalty and bravery of the Swiss Guard. Great selfie spot, and there are public restrooms in the little building. We make our way to a place in the city where is the meeting place for our bus. We're given a little bit of free time with directions to meet back at this point. Gerwin points out Casa Grande, which is a souvenir shop where we can find Swiss Army knives, and they offer free engraving on them. The perfect gift for our grandchildren. I was really curious about the McDonald's. They have an ordering kiosk, and the big tasty combo meal is 1930 Swiss francs for the hamburger, fries, and soft drink. Some of our group stayed in town to explore, while most of the rest of us did an optional cruise on Lake Lucerne. The boat was docked just a short distance away from here, so we walked. I was a little hesitant about deciding on the lake cruise very far in advance, but the weather app says it is 45 degrees Fahrenheit with a feels like of 52 and sunny. We walked through a Christmas tree market on the way, and there's our boat. Actually, we walked through one boat to board our boat. It is a double-decker. The top deck is open for fully unobstructed views, and all but a couple of people headed straight upstairs. It promises to be a gorgeous day on Lake Lucerne. We see homes, impressive mansions, monuments, but my favorite view was the mountain with the sun trying to hide behind it. After the cruise, we were able to check into our hotel with free time for the evening. There are 3 restaurants at this hotel, but we opted to go explore downtown where we could see all the lights at night and to find a restaurant while we were out. This was a great choice. Lucerne is very walkable. Italian sounded really good to us, and we chose Restaurant Montrose right on the waterfront. We were eating pretty early and were the first guests of the evening, but by the time we finished, the lower floor was really filling up. My husband ordered the Penny Aurora, and I had the spaghetti carbonara. I believe that carbonara was the best carbonara I have ever put in my mouth. We spent the next couple of hours strolling along the waterfront, looking at the lights and walking along the bridges. The old pedestrian bridge is definitely worth a stroll. Then we explored the train station and walked through the Christmas market behind it. The next morning, we booked an optional experience to go to the top of Mount Pilatus. This was another add-on I wasn't sure about. I mean, what if it's rainy, or what if it's cloudy, and if there's not good views on the top of the mountain, would it be even worth going? But we checked the weather again, and it looked like weather was going to cooperate very well, so this was a go. Gerwin purchased the tickets at the ticket booth on our behalf, and we waited for them to open. They load some of the cars on the cable before they actually open for business, and we see that first cable car as it leaves the station. We glide above homes and businesses below. We start to see a little snow on the ground below. We pass through one station where some people will get off, but Gerwin had told us in advance not to get off here. We pass above a ropes course and another building which looks like a restaurant or a lodge. We're about to enter a second station where we will get off. There are definitely some gorgeous views from here. From this station, we will board another, larger cable car which accommodates our entire group and then some. It will take us to the very top of the mountain. I'm fortunate to get a seat where I have an unobstructed view out the window. There are a few seats, but most people are standing. At the very top is a visitor's center. This is a view of the larger cable car as it's coming into the docking station here at the top. Gerwin points out where things are located. There is actually a hotel up here. Here's a hands-on station with erector sets and a display model of the cable car system. A display of some of the indigenous animals. Downstairs is Dragon World with interactive murals on the walls. And there's a video room about the construction. There's a dragon trail that winds all along the outer edge of the mountain. I can just imagine a dragon wandering these paths and peeking out at the various openings to keep an eye on the town below and ready to attack unsuspecting residents. There's just enough time for a short break for hot tea and a view before it's time to go back down the mountain. We get to soak up the views from this level, and I get a chance to talk with Gerwin about our trip and how much we've enjoyed our tour. He says we had a very fortunate day with the weather and the views, but that even the cloudy days offer an unforgettable experience riding the cable cars through the clouds. We make the final trek to the station below, and at one point I see a supply tram come by. We say goodbye to the baby dragon guarding the tram station and board our bus to go to the Swiss countryside. And what a beautiful countryside it is. Along the drive, Gerwin hands each of us a chocolate bar, and I use this opportunity to charge my phone. We're going back up in elevation again, and the landscape changes to a perfect one for our next experience, a horse and carriage ride through a typical rural community. This is the perfect little town for a snow skier's paradise. It has a ski lift, and we saw several skiers in town, some cross-country and some coming down the slopes. Our carriage ride ended at the owner's farm, and the owner greeted us. She explained how a typical Swiss farm is run.
My husband and I, we run the farm for more than 30 years, and because we are a typical farm for the mountains, I have to explain what it is when I say a typical farm.
We got to say hello to the cows, and then we were invited in for a snack. Her husband dished up 2 different cheese treats and heated up a cheese wheel and scraped it onto toasted bread. We also had brownies and hot punch. We're getting ready for our farewell dinner, and it's here at a farm. We're going to tour their barn and look around a little bit before we have dinner. It is a typical farm, much like I might see in Tennessee with chickens running around, and this is our second herd of cows in one day to get up close and personal with, but the first time I've ever seen a cow back scratcher. Dinner is in the farmhouse. We receive a list to let us know that we can order 2 drinks with the meal and tea or coffee after the meal. Dinner tonight included beef from the farm, mixed vegetables, and potatoes. Not really sure what the dessert was, but it was pretty tasty. When we got back to our hotel, we went to the Christmas market near the Franciscan church. It was about a 5-minute walk from our hotel and was lit up so pretty at night. This is our last market of the tour, and I knew I wanted to soak up a little more Christmas cheer and pick up one last gift before our trip ended. The next morning, we took the included transfer with Trafalgar to Zurich, said goodbye to our amazing travel director Gerwin, and left the bus one last time. It was such a great trip. This is Shirley with Shirley's Journeys, and I hope all of your journeys are pleasant ones.